if you refer all the problems that I solved, all the continuous beam that I solved, or all the frames that I solved using the stiffness method, there the kinematic indeterminacy was only 2. So it means the stiffness matrix used to be only 2 by 2 matrix. So what I have done is that I have solved another problem which is from a question paper. Here we have 3 kinematic indeterminacies or 3 degree of freedom in this problem. So because of that we will be solving a stiffness matrix of 3 by 3 matrix. Okay, so let us look into the problem and try to identify the loads, length of the span, and how many spans do we have. So this is your continuous beam. So in this continuous beam we have 3 spans, AB, BC and CD. So AB is subjected to a 2 concentrated load which are symmetric in nature, and they are at a distance of 2 meter and 4 meter from the left side. So basically you can say that both the loads 40 kilonewton are symmetrically applied on the beam AB. And next on member BC, UDL and a point load is subjected. So the point load is at 2 meter from the left, which is from B, and then there is a UDL which is 20 kilonewton per meter. Okay, so on CD there is a load of 80 kilonewton at the center. So you can also look at the section of all the members. Member AB is 1.5 times of I, and member BC is 2 times of I, and CD is I itself. Okay, so now next thing what we do is that we identify the kinematic indeterminacy. So let us try to understand the kinematic indeterminacy. So first, as we know that at joint A, B and C, B and C being the internal joints, A being the simply support. So that's why at all those joints we will have degree of freedom, which is rotation. So there are 3 kinematic indeterminacies. One is theta A, theta B and theta C. So respectively we will assign the coordinates. So first I will call at A, joint A, where theta A exists. There I will call as first coordinate, and at joint B we will call it as second coordinate, and at joint C we will call it as third coordinate. Okay, so once you assign the coordinate, next step to calculate the stiffness matrix is to develop the forces or the stiffnesses that are caused because of unit rotation at all the coordinates. Okay, now as you can see in this first diagram, there is a unit rotation being applied at first coordinate. Because of that we are identifying what is the moment that is created. Okay, so after applying the unit rotation at first coordinate, the moment that is created at the near end is 4e into 1.5 I divided by 6. Okay, so as we know the I value is 1.5 times of I and length is 6 meter. So the moment that is created because of unit rotation here is 4e into 1.5 I divided by 6. Similarly at the far end it will be 2e into 1.5 I divided by 6. Okay, now at first coordinate and second coordinate is determined. At third coordinate, as you can see, because of creation of unit rotation at the first coordinate, there is no moment that is created at the third coordinate. So that's why it is 0 here. Okay, now once this is completed, what we do is we go to next joint, which is B joint. At B joint, which is my second coordinate, there I'm going to apply the unit rotation. Okay, so this is the figure which we can refer to identify the moments that are created because of the application of unit rotation at the second coordinate, right? So at the second coordinate I'm applying the unit rotation. Because of that, for member BC, the moment that is created is 4e into 2 times of I divided by 6, because the I value of the member BC is 2. So it will be 4e into 2 I divided by 6. Now similarly, because of unit rotation at joint B, member BA will also subjected to a moment of 4e into 1.5 I divided by 6. Okay, now let us see the carryover movements on the far ends. So on AB it will be 2e into 1.5 I divided by 6. Okay, and in case of CB it will be 2e into 2I divided by 6. Okay, so these are the moments that are created because of the unit rotation applied at the second coordinate. Now let us go to third coordinate. So this is the diagram which is representing the application of unit rotation at the third coordinate. So this is my third coordinate, which is joint C. At joint C we are applying the unit rotation. Because of that, the moment that is created in the member CD is 4e into I divided by 4. Similarly, at member CB, the moment that is created is 4e into 2I divided by 6. Now the moment that will be sent to the far end will be 2e into 2i divided by 6, and we know that because of application of unit rotation at the third coordinate, there is no moment that is subjected at the first coordinate. Okay, now once you draw all these diagrams, once you identify all the moments that are created because of application of unit rotation at the first, second and third coordinate respectively, the next step would be to solve the stiffness matrix. So how do you solve the stiffness matrix? Now this is the stiffness matrix that I have written. So we'll have K11, K12, K13, K21, K22, K23, K31, K32, K33. Okay, so these are the values of stiffnesses that we have to write here. Now first let us go to one by one column. So the first column will be written based on the application of unit rotation at the first coordinate, and then the forces that are generated at all the coordinates. That is what we will refer here. So K11 refers to the rotation being applied at the first coordinate and the response of force that is created at the first coordinate itself. So this is the unit rotation being applied. Because of that, the force that is created is 4e into 1.5 divided by 6. So it will become 6ei by 6. So it means what? 6 by 6 is 1. So ei is taken common. This is 1 left over. Okay. Now similarly, K21 is what? Unit rotation is applied at the first coordinate, and we are trying to see how much is the force that is generated because of that. So it will be 2e into 1.5 divided by 6, which is 0.5. Okay, if I take ei common. Now similarly, as we know, at the third coordinate there is no effect or there is no moment that is subjected because of the unit rotation at the first coordinate. So that's why it is 0 here. Okay, right. So once we solve this, what we do, we go for next column, which is K12 and K22 and K32. Okay, so this is this column where we have to see. Okay, so here as we know, we are applying the unit rotation at the second coordinate here, and because of that, what is the force that is generated at the first coordinate? At the first coordinate, the moment that is generated because of application of the unit rotation at the second coordinate is 2e into 1.5 divided by 6, which is again 0.5. Okay, now similarly, going at the second coordinate and finding out how much is the moment that is created at because of the unit rotation. Okay, it will be 4e into 1.5 divided by 6 plus of 2e into 2i divided by 6, which is 1 plus of 4 by 3. Okay, so we have written this. Now we will go to this one, which is this moment. This moment is created because of the unit rotation at the second coordinate. Okay, so this is our coordinate 3. So at coordinate 3 we are trying to determine how much is the moment, so it will be 2 by 3. Now similarly, we can write for third column also. So in third column, what we write is that we will apply the unit rotation at the third coordinate and we will find out the response at the first coordinate, which is equals to 0. Similarly, the response at the second coordinate will be 2e into 2i divided by 6, which is 2 by 3. Now similarly, we will add these two moments which are created because of unit rotation at the third coordinate, and they are written here, and this completes your stiffness matrix. So once you solve the stiffness matrix, the next step would be to solve your force matrix. So to solve the force matrix, what we do is we take the moment. Okay, we take the fixed end moments, which is the moment that are created because of all the external forces. Okay, now let us go to span A, B. We already know how to solve the fixed end moments. I will just try to quickly explain it. So there are two concentrated loads here which are symmetric in nature. So what we do is we first calculate how much is the moment that is created at end AB because of these two concentrated loads. Okay, so here 40 into 2 divided by 4 square divided by 6 square will give you this much. Next again 40 into 4 divided by 40 into 4 multiplied by 2 square divided by 6 square will give you minus 17.77. If I add these two, it will become 53.32. As we know, it is symmetry, so that's why if it is negative 53.32, here it will be positive 53.32. I hope this is very much clear because we had solved a similar fixed end moment in the previous problem also. Okay, now going to this beam which is subjected to two forces, one is UDL, the other one is concentrated load. First let us calculate how much is the fixed end moment because of only UDL. Next we can use the principle of superposition and we can add this force also. Okay, now the fixed end moment because of only UDL is W, which is 20 into L square, which is 6 square divided by 12, so which is equals to minus 60 and plus 60. Next thing what we do is we superimpose the concentrated load, and we'll try to find out how much is the fixed end moment created only because of this concentrated load. So here 50 into 2 into 4 square divided by 6 square is equals to minus 44.44. Now similarly 50 into 4 into 2 square divided by 6 square will give you 22.22. So this will become the fixed end moment for BC and CBA. As we know this is a concentrated load, we can easily calculate how much is the fixed end moment over here. It will be 80 into 4 divided by 8, so which I have calculated here. So once you calculate all the fixed end moments, the next step would be to solve the force matrix. To solve the force matrix, what we do is we take the summation of all the moments at the given coordinates. So if this is the first coordinate, at the first coordinate these are the two fixed end moments that I have. Okay, I need to take the sum of these two. So minus 17.77 plus of 35.55. okay, next going to second coordinate, this is my second coordinate. I have to take the summation of all the moments at the second coordinate. So 43.32 minus of 60 minus of 44.44. okay, now going to third coordinate, at third coordinate we have again three fixed end moments, 22.22 plus 60 minus 40. okay, so this completes my force matrix. As I told you, we have to use the negative symbol here because these are fixed end moments. So only in case of applied moment we'll use it as it is, which is positive. okay, applying minus over here, we are applying minus to this entire matrix. So this is the matrix which is my force matrix. So once I calculate the force matrix and I calculate the stiffness matrix, next step is to calculate the displacement matrix. Displacement matrix equals to inverse of stiffness matrix multiplied by the force matrix. So you can calculate this in your calculator and determine what will be the displacement. So this is the value of displacements. So ei theta a, ei theta b and ei theta z are these values. Now you can next use the slope deflection equations to solve MAB, MBA, MBC, MCB, MCD and MDC. okay, so I know there is no need to explain how to solve the slope deflection equations, as I have already calculated the unknown values. Use the slope deflection equation, substitute the values of unknowns, which is ei theta a, theta b and theta c, and solve the end moments. okay, so if you find any difficult problem, you send it to me. I'll try to solve here. okay.